In studio with us is Nerima Wako. She is the executive director of Siasa Place. Very good morning to you and welcome to Radio Generation.
Good morning and thanks for having me.
Karibu tena sana. We were just talking and you were telling me Siasa Place right now things are very hectic, and one of the things that you've pointed out is the fact that you are helping individuals who were arrested in the recent protests.
Yes.
And maybe you can just give us an overview of how that is going.
Sure. So after the protests of 25th and Sabasaba, a lot of young people were picked up. All over the country, by the way. But what we're witnessing is a lot of the cases are now being linked or charged to terrorism. And this is a concern because we're talking about some of them have even been as young as 17 years old. We had a few 17-year-olds in committee. And now the case I was talking to you earlier was about Matu. There are some young people who were arrested in Matu. They were actually 16. And so yesterday...
16 individuals?
Yes, 16 individuals.
Right.
So yesterday we finally, get their bail and they were to be released, and then 6 of them were rearrested and then now taken to Kahawa. So Kahawa deals with terrorism only. It's a special court.
Close to the barracks or why?
Yes.
That's the reason why.
Let me tell you, I went to that court and it is surrounded by, you don't even feel like you're in Kenya, you just feel like you're in another country, and they're with, weapons and all. So you just feel like you're in a different court. So that's where they deal with all those charges in relation to terrorism. But to charge someone with, even to accuse someone of terrorism, you have to have serious evidence. In that court in particular, it was formed in 2012 because of Somalia and Al-Shabaab. So there are only 11 people who have been charged under that court under terrorism.
Ever since it was constituted.
Yeah. So now when we are seeing up to even 40 youth.
It's the same place Boniface was taken, right?
Yes, and then remember, they ended up dropping the terrorism charges and then now charging him with other things, but his bail was, bond is 1 million shillings.
Yeah.
So we're talking about also families where, the kids, they come from single households. Some of them have not talked to their parents for a long time. So you have to support. So when you have a bill as high as 30,000, 50,000, 200,000, 300,000, some of them are crying because they're like, I'm stuck here forever.
Because our family will never raise this money.
Our family can never raise this money. So we've been, we formed a network. It's a collective of up to 25 individuals. And we are just basically crowdsourcing. So we've been sharing posters. Kenyans have been so generous. We've reached about 1.3 million.
Okay.
And we've already used 900K to remove about 74. Yeah.
Let me ask you, in terms of just identifying that these individuals have been arrested because of protests, like Matu is so far from Nairobi. Yeah, well, not so far, but it's quite far. How did you even know that kuna watu Matu wameshikwa because of maandamano? Because all over the country a lot of people were arrested. Kitengela, Nairobi, Thika, and so on and so forth.
Actually, it's been a lot of online people just sharing videos of guys in cells and saying they've been arrested, family members. I got a DM from someone called Palma. His brother was arrested in Naivasha with 20 others who were now released the day before yesterday. I think that's Monday. And so 11 came out. So we're just getting DMs, family members, even people just highlighting the issues online, reaching out to lawyers, finding out that there are even some women in Langata Women's who have 300,000 bond.
Yeah.
They didn't even have a lawyer. So we're like, how did it even get this far? And you don't even have a lawyer.
For you to be given bond yet, no one has argued your case for you.
No one.
Yeah.
So you were getting a lot of those cases coming in. They are still trickling in. And so the collective, we have activists, we have lawyers, we have organizations, and we're just sort of chiming it into our database.
I don't know if you've attended any of the court cases, but what evidence do they have against these young people? Especially, let's deal with the ones in Matu. What evidence do they have of them to label them as terrorists? You said 6 were rearrested immediately after they were released. So how do they know Mungala Mbuvi, for instance, is fit to be charged with terrorism?
So now the 6 who were rearrested is yesterday. So now we have to wait for the actual hearing to know the evidence that they have. But what we've seen so far, barely any evidence. In fact, some of them have been kept for up to 2 weeks, and they keep saying, we're looking for the evidence, give us more time for the evidence. At some
point, and the
point,
court is granted in this time?
The court refused now for the ones who were released under, remember the case of the DCP youth, there were 38 of them. The court now refused. They were like, you keep asking for room for evidence.
Kama hamuna bana.
Yeah, so we just allow them to go home and this case continues, and you know, assign them to a family member to hold them responsible so that when the next hearing comes, they show up. So we haven't seen any, you know, evidence that we can say, yes, this is, you know, related to terrorism, because you have to be linked to like a Al-Shabaab group. It has to, on your phone, you're organizing to show that, you know, you're coming to destroy property and human life. So that's not there. No.
Does this new approach by the government of terming these protesters as terrorists, does it discourage you from really pushing for whatever you've been pushing for?
No, I think, you know, in the beginning we were deflated, especially because we thought it was in the 40s, and then we're getting more cases. We're like, oh my goodness, we're reaching hundreds. And we were like...
And by this you mean like hundreds of individuals who are facing these charges?
Yes.
Okay.
And so now we're beginning to see some of them are now being dropped. So for us, it's encouraging that the public uproar and then us highlighting the situation has made things, I mean, not better, but it has reduced. You know, I think yesterday was deflating for us because we had seen them dropping terrorism charges, and then to see these 6 rearrested, which are 5 male, 1 female, which is also another statistic we need to share. Most of them are young men. And also, mind you, once you go through Kahawa, some of them are being sent to committee. And so some of them are
for their remand.
And some of them are as young as, I've just told you, like 18, 19. And then you're mixing with people in
murderers,
community.
rapists.
So when we see the situation, we're like, no. If we are discouraged and deflated, imagine them who just feel like they are helpless in this situation. Because I remember I went for one hearing, and you're just seeing, you know, the judge is reading all, like, pages of things, and you're just seeing them looking dazed, you know, like they have just been removed from their lives. Like they can't understand how this is my life.
They're present physically, but spiritually they're not.
They're gone. Like there's one guy alikuwa amezuba, alikuwa amelalia like bars. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, these guys don't even understand what's happening.
Yes.
In their lives.
Let me ask you, have you had a conversation with any of them and just asked them on the day that they joined first of all, were they actively in the protests?
No.
Or they were just picked up from the streets, from their homes? Do you know, like when they tell you, mimi nilichukuliwa kwa nyumba ama nilichukuliwa kwa streets?
Very diverse stories. There's one young lady I talked to, she said she was walking from the supermarket, and she was picked up because anakaa Gen Z. Like someone says, well, unakaa Gen Z, kuja. That's how she was picked. She wasn't even understanding, like
so she didn't have a placard, she didn't have a flag.
This is after guys have been picked after the protest, not even during
the
This is after, and then they are saying like they are linked to the protests, or they are linked to arson. There's a young lady who she's being charged with stealing 130 million worth of goods from Naivas
single-handedly.
So you're like,
130 million.
Gari alichukua hizo vitu aje, like, you know, you just, and you see, even though you see this girl, I mean, even when you see this girl, I'm like,
do you know, even if you were to pick the most expensive TV at a supermarket, even if you were to pick 10 of them, you still wouldn't amass 130
million is a lot.
130 million.
130. So I have a question, because I'm wondering, well, I'm doing it loudly because I'm like, we have seen the guys, the police accused of shooting some of these Gen Zs, like we saw, but then it has been so hard to get that evidence kwamba ni huyu polisi ndio alishoot mtu. Umeona venye imekuwa ni it is a hard nut to crack for us to be able to establish, to provide evidence kwamba huyu polisi ndio alishoot. And actually you saw the other day this police officer accused of shooting Rex Masai. Sometimes
he said he's not the one.
Actually, even after producing the evidence, he said that I am not the one. So now I want to understand, like, when these the agencies are being taken to the court, what evidence are they producing? Like ile mpaka kabisa you can attribute this to this Gen Z.
So one of the things that we have seen over time, they have been very keen to blame young people for the chaos. So they'll first blame the activists. So remember this, the Muthaiga 3. There are 3 activists. Actually, their hearing is today in Kibera Law Courts this morning.
Yeah.
And so they were also being blamed or charged, not with terrorism, but with organizing the protests and then the arson, the stealing, the chaos. So you're seeing that what they're trying to do is shift the blame, because people started to share videos of this Muthaiga 3 in the protest, yes, but peaceful. They're like, yeah, but I was with Generali, I was with Garang, and here are the pictures, here's the evidence. So even citizens are using their own mobile devices to show that that's not true. They were not involved in the chaos. What we're seeing is some of the evidence they're saying is they can track their devices to show that they are within the vicinity.
Oh, okay.
But they are not showing them actually evidence of them causing chaos. They don't have that, and so they're saying no, they were there, so they caused it, which we're like, but they were goons, and some of them ended up coming after we left or chasing us from the scene. So the evidence is not strong. Just because your phone shows that you are near the supermarket and that supermarket ended up burning down, it doesn't prove that you're the one who burnt that supermarket.
And actually some other people just come after to come and see what happened here. You see?
So that's the evidence they're using, which is not strong evidence at all. And a lot of the lawyers are like, these things are going to be dropped anyway. But imagine the time you have wasted. You know, we've had people in cells for 36 days, you know, and then we know it's going to be dropped. But what have you done to that person's life? People have lost their jobs for those who are working, and even people who were, you know, family members or in school. People were leaving school, some are in Form 4, something like that. And then they're here in cells. How do you even explain yourself?
Someone is waiting to sit for their KCSE this year.
I mean, we are having school children. So you're just like, now you have tainted an image of this person. So even when they go back to school, it's like, no, this one alikuwa kwa cells. Huyu ni mtu mbaya.
Are you following up on any cases of police brutality or deaths, for that matter, where people have been killed or maimed or hurt by the police?
I'm not, but I know that there are organizations that are, like IMLU. I know that there are private entities that are working on cases to sue, but we are not. We're just focusing on getting these young people out.
Well, looking at what is happening, actually some critics were saying that the government is using that approach, of course, to discourage this movement of the young people. And but the question is, right now as we speak, because you have sat down, the young people have sat down and seen what has been happening. Is it that they are going to change their strategy, ama bado watu wanataka kurudi kwa maandamano?
Bado watu wanataka kurudi kwa maandamano, but I think even right now they've changed their strategy. A lot of young people are talking about recall. The fact that we've seen 4, but it's unfortunate that in the news now IBC is like, oh, but we're not so sure if we'll be able to do recall. IBC needs to focus on making recall possible for young people to participate, because you're telling them, use the systems, use the process, then you're telling them, but it might not work. So what are you going to tell,
we actually sat with a lawyer here, I think, and one thing he pointed out was that the process is there in the constitution, but it's a very tedious one, because number one, you as the person who wants to recall your MP, you have to gather, I think, did he say 20% or 50% of the votes? I think he mentioned 50% of the votes of the registered voters in your constituency. So if I want to recall my MP, I go back to my constituency and find 50% of our voters. So let's say in our constituency we had like 50,000 voters, so I have to look for 25,000 people. who are willing to recall this MP, and they have got to be registered, because IEBC will go and confirm that these 25,000 individuals are registered members of that constituency. Then once now they have confirmed that, I think he said it's going to go to court, and we look at the, what are they called, the reasons as to why we are recalling him, and the reasons have got to be within the responsibilities that the MP is supposed to, whatever, according to his responsibility. So if he hasn't done any of those, and especially things to do with integrity issues, so if he's a corrupt MP, then now we need to convince the court that indeed this guy is corrupt, so that now IEBC can declare that position vacant. I don't know, I think I've captured it correctly, and that is what is making it very difficult. Mimi nitaenda nianze kutafuta watu 25,000.
That's what I'm telling you, because they're here shouting and saying, don't go to the streets, use process, and then people will start to use process, which we're seeing, and we're going to witness them getting frustrated with process. I mean, logically, what's going to happen? They're going to end up back on the streets. That's what's going to happen. So I mean, that is the only option that they're going to feel that they're being heard. So I'm not going to be surprised if people return to the streets.
Now, apart from, because we've also seen them saying they're gonna visit the MPs in their homes, have dinner with them, I don't know, does that sound like a viable solution to the current problems we're facing? Because number one, I don't even know where my MP lives.
A lot of people do, though.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming I want to visit my MP today. I don't know where he lives, but assuming I find out where he lives, and I take a bunch of my boys, I don't know how many of us would be willing to go and face the GSU officers outside his gate, because I also don't want to die. Then assuming for some strange reason GSU watufungulie mlango tuingie pale ndani, then what next?
I think the simplest method is to deplatform them at church.
Okay.
That's it. That's it. That's where politicians feel they have lost their power, because they use funeral services, harambes, church
weddings.
services, weddings, to go and speak to the public. The other platforms they do that is public rallies, and I say deplatform the church because all of us are members of a church, or if you want to be a religious institution, you have youth leaders, you have women leaders. Organize with your church and just say, by the way, we're not having politicians coming to address us.
Hatutaki.
Lakini sasa kanisa hatutaki.
Bishop wako akinunuliwa Prado Land Cruiser ya sijui ilikuwa ni 10 million. How do you expect your bishop to say no to 10M?
But
120 million, 20 million.
If then I leave that church, that means I don't have the same vision as my bishop. So where is he leading me? I leave that church. Even the bishops are afraid of being deplatformed. It's very simple. So if you go to that church and you see them receiving, that means you agree with it. That's fine with you. Remain in that church. But if you have a problem with it, leave that church and find another church where the bishop will refuse. It's not all bishops who are going to accept, by the way. There are quite a number of bishops who have deplatformed politicians. Join those churches. Hakuna shida, kuna mingi hapa Kenya.
Well, I just want to understand the long-term effect of whatever the young people are doing, and especially, okay, we are good on social media. We the young people who are so successful in mobilizing protest through social media and so forth. But I want to look at it like that power that the Gen Zs have. Can they be able to divert it, and especially in other aspects like public participations, because at the end of the day tunaona maandamano kidogo inaenda kuwa ni challenge. Now we are looking at other options like you are needed to participate somewhere. We need your opinion in shaping some of these decisions that our leaders are making. So my question is, I don't know whether the young people have thought of that.
They are organizing themselves. The fact that we have a united opposition shows you that people are still grappling for power. The fact that Raila will have a whole interview and talk about a conclave is still trying to convince the public why a conclave is important. So what we are witnessing is there's a vacuum of power, and the political elite know this. And that vacuum of power still belongs to the Gen Zs. Even though you call them leaderless, they're still the ones holding the power, and they're trying to figure out, how do we channel this power back to us? How do we bring it back to us? So politically, there is a shift. Politically, and as someone who's passionate about politics, we would not be watching Sifuna on primetime TV trying to convince people as ODM how it still has strength and power. So one thing we must understand is Raila Odinga has shook hands with every president and it has worked. It has not worked. He's still struggling with how can I make sure things are okay. This is a shift of power. That's one. Number two, it's for us to realize that the existing political parties are going to struggle with convincing young people to join them. That's why ODM launched Captains. They had to have a younger youth league, because how are they talking about young people's engagement when their youth leader honestly should be in retirement, or someone who should be raising their grandchildren. Let's be honest. So Captains is already a sign that Gen Z is working. So it might not be how we are used to seeing it, which I think is fantastic. It's fantastic, because if young people show up how the political elite are used to seeing power showing up, the first thing they will do is capture. Because those young people don't have the resource. They will try and buy out leaders as quickly as possible. So remaining amorphous is the most powerful tool young people can do right now.
On that point of being amorphous, there was an article in one of the dailies, I think it was last week, where the writer said that the young people are currently, they don't have an agenda. Yes, they're saying that there's no clear agenda. That is what the writer said. There's no clear agenda. Because yes, we are talking about economic empowerment. We're talking about unemployment. We're talking about police brutality. We're talking about so many things that, you know, people are shouting in the streets and on social media. But he said there is no clear agenda towards a future that is tenable for everyone. So it's good to be amorphous, and I believe that this whole issue of being partyless is an awesome idea. This idea of being tribeless, even better. But in terms of leaderless, there might be an issue, because at the end of the day, fine, we do not have like a specific leader. It's not Nerima, you know, it's not Patricia, it's not moving. But at the end of the day, do we even have leaders amongst ourselves that we can even front to become
so many
MCAs, MPs,
so many
and so on?
movie so many.
Yeah.
And even guys, think about it. Last year protests were in like 4 counties. This year they're in 25. Who is leading them? Leaders have actually mushroomed in the 25. And I'll tell you for fact, they are groups that have formed. They are. And they will come up with their own parties. This week alone, I've heard of 3 parties receiving their certificates.
Oh,
yes.
For the Gen Zs.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes. It's just not out there. It's here.
It's not pump and color like DCP.
And it will. And it will pop up. It will. And the thing that I didn't read that article. I don't know who this writer is. The one voice that is very clear amongst all youth is justice. It's justice.
Justice, yeah.
It's justice. So even when we think about how they behave, attending funerals of those who have been killed unjustly, this is very different from previous generations. Fundraising for families, fundraising for hospital bills. This is dignity. This is a different generation. They have a different way of thinking. I mean, last year, 2023 even, people were shot. People died. ODM can't even remember to name them. ODM can't remember their families. ODM can't remember where they live. They can't. Even the government. They can't. But you ask Gen Zs the names of the people who died from June 25th. They know them. They recite them. In fact, they look up to them as their mashujas. This is justice. And they're like, we are not going to go into a Kenya where we bury you and forget you like they have done for generations. It's very, very different. The goal is clear. They want a new Kenya, a Kenya that speaks for all when it comes to access to education, employment, opportunity. It's justice. So we can't live in a Kenya where we are seeing MCAs grabbing property, peoples of houses of people, and acting like they can do whatever they want. That's not the Kenya young people want.
Yep.
Yeah. So it doesn't really have to exist and live in a party, because even these parties, all of them, they have the word democratic. What does DCP stand for? Democratic Citizens Party. What does ODM stand for?
Orange Democratic
Movement. All of them have the word democratic, but there's nothing democratic about their parties. Nothing. If you have a very influential young person in that party, they will never be voted in as a youth leader in a party primary. It depends who the party leader wants. So what is democratic about your party? So even for me, I challenge people who say form a party or be part of the parties, yet those parties don't stand for any ideology. They are vehicles. Makes no sense.
I was going to ask you about what we are seeing happening in government and what we are seeing happening in opposition. People are saying that we don't have an opposition anymore, but we do have an opposition, whether we like it or not, right? Now, because I was thinking the Gen Zs are actually more of the opposition than the real opposition. But we're seeing these arrangements happening in opposition. We are seeing Kalonzo teaming up with Akina Matiang'i, teaming up with Martha Karua and the rest. You know them. Kina Netembea pia wameingia pale. We're also seeing DCP leader in the states campaigning vehemently for his return. What do you think we are going to offer them as the rest of Kenya? Forget the political elite. That we're going to offer this, because at the end of the day, these guys look more organized than the Gen Zs. They look more organized than people who want to protest, and they are planning their return. They are planning how they're going to capture power, and you've rightly said that kila mtu anafikiria sasa venye atashikilia usukani. We are seeing Raila Odinga saying that he's going to support the president all the way till 2027. So where does that leave the rest of the country? Because clearly these guys are sorting themselves out, and I do not see any conversation about Kenya, the people of Kenya.
Yeah, no, it's true. But there's also another group. There's also CJ Maraga. There's also Kia Mtata.
True.
There are a few people who are actually vying for presidency, but they don't get as much media coverage as these traditional politicians that we're used to seeing. I feel that June 25th last year, people felt that it came suddenly, abruptly, and it confused the political elite. But people who work in the youth sector saw it coming. We've been seeing it coming for like the last 5 years. And it's something that we're predicting was going to happen. And the same way I will predict, there's going to be a Fagia water kind of sweep. So even as they are arranging themselves up top, they are going to need members of parliament.
Yes.
They are going to need members of county assembly. And they are going to be surprised at the number of people who are not going to be re-elected. There are youth who are like, that MP nimekumak. Hautarudi bunge tena. And this is also important to know. So as much as they are organizing up top, our politics has been driven by Rao comes and says, huyu ndo mtapigia kura. And people are like, yeah. They go. They don't even care who that person is. They don't know their background, And also, there's this council of elders that sometimes determines who the community is going to vote for. That is where the switch is going to be in the next election. People are going to be like, usituambie, sisi tumemshamchagua. This is powerful because you are talking about up top presidency level executive leadership, but where parliament sits is where power lies, because they are the voice of the people, representatives, MCAs, the same. That's going to be controlled by Gen Z.
Yeah.
You know, I'm looking at it when you say that you want this leader, the Gen Zs, to take leadership, and especially for these MP seats, MCAs, and so forth. And then I'm like, if they are operating with a political outfit yenye imekuwa mpaka sasa, do you think they are going to get that opportunity?
No, they are not. That's why even with the by-elections that are happening, I'm seeing a lot of youth coming out and saying they are going to stand independent or in smaller parties, which is fascinating to me. I think watching the by-elections when they occur is going to be a huge determinant of how 2027 or future elections are going to happen. These traditional parties are going to be surprised at how quickly they have lost their influence at the grassroots. it's going to be determined by by-elections.
By the by-elections.
Yes.
So we
Yes.
We sat here with a Kano youth leader. He's called Meshak Kiprop, I think. And Meshak is a Gen Z. And Meshak said, because we asked him about the atrocities that were committed by his party before he was born. And he owned them and he said, look, ilifanyika, but sasa, kenya tunafanya sasa ni kusafisha. And he brought up this idea where he said that he's hoping there's a movement that will have Gen Zs join parties, whether it's KANU, DCP, UDA, ODM, whatever, and they actually vie for positions within those parties and then now take up national positions, so whether it's MP, MCA, governor, whatever. Do you think that's also a plausible solution, whereby we literally get into this? Because if I'm a diehard fan of Wiper or a diehard fan of ODM and I don't want to see it go down, fine, I might have an independent way of thinking, but I might also get that thinking into my party and get rid of all these people I think are bringing my party down, then change it from the inside and still bring the change that we're looking for as young people.
You know, I think whatever method works for you, use it. We are entering a dispensation where leaders will not have to necessarily listen to their party leader. They are going to have to listen to the people first. The people who are not being harassed in their communities are the ones who listened to the people when they said vote no for the finance bill. Those are the ones who can go to services in peace. Those are the ones who can speak in peace. The rest are finding it very, very hard, even now, to be able to commune with their community, because they always say, lakini wewe ulipigia no kwa hiyo finance bill. I mean, people have still remembered it. So the reason why I'm mentioning that, you don't need so many even members of parliament, 7 bearded sisters. It just took 7 people to decide this is the direction Kenya is going, and that's the direction Kenya went. If we can even have 10 members of parliament who have the same goal, it doesn't even matter which party you belong to, then you're able to bring about change within parliament. Right now, all of them are captured. All of them are captured by the executive. And that's why it's even hard to see people who have a backbone speaking sense and truth within parliament. Where we're seeing it, sometimes semblance of it is Senate. Yeah, but within parliament we're not. So in a sense, I agree with Meshak.
Right.
And the difference is the people who enter through traditional parties or old legacy parties this time around will have more influence. I just told you, the party won't be able to say chagua huyu. It'll be the public. Tumekuambia tunataka huyu, mpatie ticket. That's what's going to be different with the next election.
Yeah.
So their power will come from the people, not necessarily the party leader. That changes things.
You know, I'm looking at the revolution that happened actually when our forefathers were fighting for freedom, independence in our country, the likes of Dead and Kimathi. I was looking at a documentary on how they used to gather. Yes, they used to gather in different places to get everyone involved. So I was looking at the maandamano zenye zimekuwa zikifanyika. They have been happening majorly on big towns, big places. So I'm looking at that population that is in the rural areas. What responsibility in terms of civic education do you think the Gen Zs have also to those other population?
You know, actually, Gen Zs are concerned about IDs and uptake. There's been a huge campaign in Busia that we've been part of, where they're actually registering to get their IDs, and next they want to register to be able to vote. And this is important to mention because remember, over the weekend, there's someone who went to a funeral in Busia to make a contribution that came from Baba, and people told her to shut up. People told her to keep quiet.
Yeah.
That is civic education. Yeah. Where
she was properly booed.
She was properly booed. That is civic education. Where people are like, it's no longer about the individual. Representation matters, and the right representation matters. And we have been following particular people, and we've not seen development and progress. It has changed in rural areas, Patricia. Let me tell you that for free. And it's fascinating because people are like, I I think by the time 2027 rolls around, maybe they'll change again. And I think that's what the political elite is banking on, where they are so used to using their narrative of tribe, they don't know any different. So even when you look at the united opposition, I mean, let's be frank, it's tribes. They're just making sure this tribe is here, this tribe. They're just looking at the big five. But Kenyan youth are beyond that. Them, they're like, I don't care who sits there, as long as this is trickling down as development to me. And that's why we're going to see a clash of ideologies. It is a clash. Because even when you talk about rural areas and them, they're going to be paid and they're going to change their vote, we're also witnessing an exchange where even the youth in urban areas are going to their villages to talk to the youth in rural areas.
I want us to talk about compromise for a second. We had so much hope in a lot of our current leaders, and unfortunately when they got to parliament, some of them when they got to county assemblies, some of them when it became, governors and senators and whatever, for some strange reason, they just turned against the people. We have seen MPs in parliament that, used to be against, I don't want to say against Gava, but they used to speak up against some of the things that government was doing to Kenyans at the time, saying that what we are seeing on the streets is Photoshop. Yeah. And this is someone who was, doing political satire back in the day, and we enjoyed watching these particular characters, and we loved what they used to do because they used to challenge Gava at that particular time, and even when Gava was really strong through President Moi. What assurances do we have that if Gen Zs will be elected into positions, whether it's MCA all the way even to governor, that they will not be compromised? Because let's not forget, pia sisi tunakuanga very impatient na watu. I'll point out Morara Kebaso. I don't know at what point people started hating him. Mpaka yeye mwenyewe akaquit politics, kasema amequit after watu walimchangia mapesa mingi sana, mamilioni. We have Kasmuel, of course. People for some strange reason again hated him when he joined ODM. How sure are we, if we vote in young leaders, these so-called Gen Zs, they won't get into bed with government the moment they taste that power?
Movie, the simplest answer to that would be, what is the person's track record? We have a president who has only done politics all of his life. So what we are witnessing is politics. He's never run a company. He's never owned an organization.
Yeah, he used to sell chicken.
But
Oh, guys, come on.
a company of
You
he sells cabbages.
You guys, me, I can sit and show you how I have grown something from this level to this level. And these are my impacts. This is my, this is what I have done personally. And the reason why I'm mentioning that is who owns this person you're talking about? Who owns them? Because we've talked about this. When you enter a party by buying the ticket at 10 million for some, who owns you? So as soon as you enter, you pledge allegiance to who owns you. So that's why I said this time is going to be different, because you're owned by the people.
Yeah.
The same way, when you look at how CJ is doing his campaign, how Okia is doing his campaign, when you have crowdsourcing, people giving you the resource, who owns you? It's the people. It's not backdoor meetings where billionaires are giving you 4 billion, 5 billion, 6 billion. Then as soon as you enter power, you pledge allegiance to the billionaire. So it's not about their business opportunities. That's who you will listen to. So for me, it's who owns the individual that you're voting for.
Yeah.
And are they part of your community? And have you seen the impact that they have brought to your community?
The reason I'm asking this is because we've had this famous phrase where people say that everyone has a price. So you might vote for me, independent candidate. Nimekuja hapa hivi with the people. Na nimeingia kwa hiyo kiti. Mimi ni MP wa George Padmore Ridge. Then you start seeing me having dinner at State House, breakfast State House. Mara I'm flying with the president to Mandera to do projects with him or launch things. At the end of the day, I feel like everyone again has a price. So personally, I'm putting my eggs in that particular basket, but not all of them. And I'd like us to test these guys in leadership, the young people that we are hoping will lead this country. Yeah. I don't know if you have similar sentiments. Ama wewe umeka all your eggs into that basket,
it's
and you're
all
like
my eggs.
all of them.
All.
Yeah.
Because how can we give a generation 50 plus years? We've seen where we are. What's so wrong with giving another generation 5?
Okay.
They have stayed with 50. And then we expect them to all of a sudden save us. And they've stayed with 50. Why can't I risk it all and give someone new 5 years?
Okay.
Yeah, because if they screw it up, it was just 5. You stayed with 50.
You do realize if you put all your eggs there and they break, you've lost every single egg you had.
Where are we now? Do you think, where are we now?
Okay, we don't have eggs. Okay.
So what are you telling me? What are you saving? What egg are you saving?
Yeah.
They are all broken.
Yeah.
So okay, just looking at the specifics in what the Gen Zs have been agitating for, and especially the issues of abduction, the issues of innocent lives being killed. If today the government decides imeacha easy abductions, imeacha hizo killings of innocent Kenyans, through the, of course they said they are going to reform their police force. You get, so if this today they have decided that sisi tumefikia hapo na tumesema, na we see these people who have been accused, alleged, and wameshtakiwa, wakipatikana na makosa, mtu amepewa ile dini yake, then tumebaki na issue ya cost of living. Tumebaki especially in the issue ya cost of living. Do you think Kenyans will give now the president time to continue, like easy tumeacha, tumebaki na stories za employment is not a one day thing, like you're not going to wake up in the morning and you like amesha create employment for everyone. Issues of cost of living, it is not a rocket science. Kuna dynamics that are involved there for you to be able to stabilize the economy. Do you think now the youth would give the president another chance if today hii moja ambaye ni issue kubwa sana imeacha?
I would say well done, about time. Should have done it a long time ago.
Yeah.
Lakini sasa since umeacha, number 2, audits. CDF, housing, SHA, hold people accountable. Sasa tumeona kuna goodwill.
Yes.
As soon as you've done audits, who is responsible for that? Wachuje. Then now after that, when you've done those 3, people will relax, because you can't say tumeacha and then money is still being lost and stolen, and things are still the same. We can't be seeing people going and donating millions in churches, and unemployment is high, and people's salary is increasing, and people have no opportunities to go and work. You know, we're talking about 60% unemployment of a generation where the country, the average age is 19. Yani ukitembea hapa nje kila mtu ukiona, most of them are 19. Let that sink in for you. Lakini wewe in your office, most of you are 50 and plus. Huwaoni. So for me, it would be, yes, stop with the arrests, stop with the abductions, but number 2, answer questions on audit and responsibility. Okia is always talking about public debt. Answer all those sectors you like to mention. What is the audit? Then number 3, money has been lost, okay? What have you done to make sure you recover? And what have you done to make sure people are held accountable for that loss? Then number 4, people will relax. Because as soon as that happens, it shows goodwill. Because now you have to hire the right people, because you're going to lose your team. You're going to lose majority of your team. Then you'll have to have the right people in place. Yeah. Simple.
Someone was mentioning deep state here. Jeremiah Kioni, SG Jubilee, and he said that being president of this country, and actually just the entire executive, you need to have a good understanding of the deep state, because if you don't have an understanding of that, the deep state might end up, controlling you and so on and so forth. So if we appoint brand new people, and let's even say that we want to get rid of the old guards, tuache kina Maraga hapo hivyo na Okio Mtata na wale wengine wamshoa wengine watatokezea hapo hivyo, who do you think has a proper understanding of the deep state, if at all it exists?
That's the thing I was gonna say. I was gonna say the rumor or the impression that we have of the deep state is that they are Kenyan citizens. The foreign influence that other countries have on Kenya, and the presidents we have had, because foreign countries have said this is the best president for you.
They said what?
Oh yeah, that, you know, we talk about deep state like they are only Kenyan. They are not. Yeah. And I don't think that it's something that is difficult to understand. Anyone who understands geopolitics understands that the deep state also includes foreign missions, ministries, and governments. Yeah. And so it's not something that, oh, this generation can never learn, they'll never get it. No.
Okay.
It's not, because we are even watching it in West Africa itself, in terms of the changeover of power from people who've been in power for decades with young people who have entered power. Their countries, are they not still standing? They are still standing. So I feel like sometimes deep state is used as a way to instill fear and intimidation, because at the end of the day, even the public is the deep state.
Yeah.
If the Kenyan people have refused you,
Nivyo. The deep state has said no.
You know, initially the Gen Zs, the young people, actually we saw the last election, majority did not vote. Election ya huko nyuma kabisa tena, sasa ndio pale a bigger percentage of the young people did not vote. One of the biggest reasons they were citing was the fact that they do not have trust, they do not believe in the IEBC. Juzi tumeona commission imekuwa formed. Has the perception of the young people changed about to trust, to believe in the IEBC for delivering free, fair and credible elections? So
that's a good question, Patricia, because vile naona, if they fumble the by-elections, then that trust will be completely depleted. The by-elections is going to be a tester for this IBC, a huge test, because young people will be watching. And number two, that's true. There was a large number of young people who didn't participate. There are people who registered actually, lakini siku ya kupiga kura hawakuenda kupiga kura.
True.
Now that number is actually 8 million. That number that had voters cards, lakini walisema wacha leo nikae nyumbani. That number could have actually determined another president, because it beat both what Rao and Ruto got. Now we're talking about people who didn't register at all. Now to top up to that 8 million that last time didn't participate. I think that there's a generation that really wants to try and believe in this system, but then when they see the choices, they're just not encouraged. Wako like, sasa nikienda hata mtu mwenye nataka hata hakuna. But if we have candidates that inspire people to come out, people will come out. I do believe that. Because even the way our lifestyle is, how the economy is, people really want something different, something new, because they're like, if we have been selecting the same things and we're still here, things seem to be getting worse. I want something new. And if people see someone who can relate to them, I truly believe it will spark an energy for them to participate.
All right. We have literally a minute before the end of the show. Najua kura yako ni siri yako, but who's Kenya's best bet right now in terms of presidency?
Mimi saizi niko kwa kampi ya Maraga. Yes, okay. Maraga na Okia. Yeah. The complete opposite of chenye tumezoea. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Nilidhani atasema Gen Z fulani.
Say hakuna Gen Z.
That's the camp there now. But akitokea,
Gen Zs are camping there.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So he said he's campaigning through Wanjiko. Do you think Wanjiko will contribute?
They are contributing. Haujaona watu wameshaanza mia.
Alisema in 2 days he got 500,000.
Yeah. People are contributing.
Yeah. Do you think if he captures power? No, I'm asking this because he's 74. If he captures power, do you think he can actually go an entire 5 years?
Yes. I mean, Rao is 80 what?
Tuachane na Rao.
Yeah, ameshafika 80. No, in fact what I like about him, he's like, I'm here and I'm out. Like he's not even interested at the 2-term
second
whatever,
term,
you know.
He just wants to make sure the system is good.
Yes.
Sawa. Thank you so much for coming and having this conversation with us. There are some things you've said there, eye-opening, and I hope we can have you again to have this same conversation,
sure.
but from a different perspective as well. All right.
Thank you.